You know how sometimes life just throws you a curveball so hard it knocks the wind right out of you? Like one minute you're floating on cloud 9, everything's perfect, and the next, the ground just falls out from under your feet. That's exactly how it felt the night I found out my husband, Mark, was cheating on me. Our anniversary night, of all nights. It still feels a little surreal, even now, sitting here talking about it. Mark and we were that couple. You know the one everyone looked at and said, they're going to make it. We met in college, a classic meet cute at a study group for a ridiculously hard calculus class. I was struggling, and he, with his easy smile and even easier grasp of derivatives, offered to help. One late-night study session turned into another, then into coffee dates, then long walks around campus, talking about everything and nothing. He was just different. Not like the other guys who were all about the party scene. Mark was thoughtful, a good listener, and he had this quiet ambition that I found incredibly attractive. He'd talk about wanting to build something meaningful, not just a career, but a life. And I was all in. Our first year together was a whirlwind of discovering each other. We learned we both loved bad sci-fi movies, hated cilantro, and dreamed of traveling the world. We celebrated every small victory, comforted each other through every setback. He was my rock, my confidant, my best friend. When he proposed 3 years later, on a chilly autumn evening under a canopy of twinkling fairy lights he'd strung up in my backyard, it felt like the most natural thing in the world. There was no hesitation, no doubt. Just a resounding yes that echoed through the crisp air. We built our little life together, brick by brick. A cozy apartment, a shared love for cooking elaborate meals, Sunday morning hikes, and endless conversations about our future. We talked about kids, about a house with a big yard, about growing old together, sitting on a porch somewhere, still laughing at each other's terrible jokes. It felt solid, real, unbreakable. Our 5th anniversary was supposed to be special. We'd been planning it for months. Mark had booked a reservation at this fancy Italian place downtown, the one we'd always said we'd go to someday. I'd bought a new dress, a silky emerald green number that I knew he'd love. The air was thick with anticipation, the kind that makes your stomach flutter with happy nerves. I remember thinking as I got ready that evening, how lucky I was. How truly, profoundly lucky to have found someone who still made my heart skip a beat after 5 years. Looking back, the signs were there, little whispers in the wind that I, in my blissful ignorance, chose to ignore. Or maybe I rationalized them away. He started working later, saying his new project at the firm was demanding. Big promotion on the line, babe, he'd say, kissing my forehead as he stumbled in past midnight. I'd nod, half asleep, proud of his dedication. Then there was the phone. It became an extension of his hand, always face down, always muted. If it buzzed, he'd snatch it up, glance at it, and then quickly dismiss it. Just work emails, he'd mumble, but his eyes would dart around, almost nervously. I remember one evening, we were watching a movie, and his phone lit up with a text preview. It was just a name, Chloe, and a heart emoji. My stomach did a little flip, but he quickly grabbed the phone, cleared the notification, and said, "Oh, just a work colleague about a presentation." I let it go. Chloe was a new hire, he'd mentioned her. Nothing to worry about, right? He also started being a little distant, not overtly, but subtly. Less spontaneous touches, fewer lingering kisses. Our conversations, once so effortless, sometimes felt forced, like he was mentally elsewhere. I try to bring it up gently. "Everything okay, hon? You seem a little preoccupied." He'd brush it off. Just tired love. Long day. And I, ever the understanding partner, would accept it. I told myself it was stress, the demands of his job, the pressure to provide. We all go through phases, right? It was just a phase. He still said "I love you" every night, still held my hand across the table, still planned our anniversary dinner. So I pushed the nagging feeling down, deep down, where it couldn't bother me. Anniversary night. I was buzzing. I'd spent the afternoon at a spa, indulging in a massage, feeling pampered and beautiful. I came home, put on some jazz, and started getting ready. The emerald dress zipped up perfectly. I did my hair, a soft wave, and put on the pearl earrings he'd given me for our last anniversary. I felt a surge of excitement, a genuine thrill. This was our night. Mark was supposed to be home by 6. 6:30 rolled around, then 7. My phone buzzed. A text from him. "Traffic's a nightmare, babe. Be there soon. Don't worry, we won't miss our res. Love you." A familiar knot tightened in my stomach. Traffic? It was Friday, but this late? Still, I pushed it away. He was probably just trying to make it perfect, surprise me. He finally walked in at 7:45, looking flustered. "So sorry, love," he said, pulling me into a quick hug that felt off. Not his usual warm, enveloping embrace. He smelled faintly of a different cologne, something sweeter, less woody than his usual scent. I chalked it up to a new sample, maybe. He rushed to shower, saying he needed to freshen up. While he was in the bathroom, his phone, which he'd left on the kitchen counter, buzzed again. This time, it wasn't a text. It was a notification from our shared photo album, the one where we dumped all our memories. A new photo had just been added. My heart hammered against my ribs. It was an automatic sync, something we'd set up ages ago. I knew it was probably just a random photo from his day, maybe a funny meme he'd saved. But that little voice, the one I'd been silencing for months, screamed at me. "Look." My fingers trembled as I picked up his phone. The notification was still there. I tapped it. The photo loaded. It wasn't a meme. It wasn't a work document. It was a selfie of Mark and Chloe. They were in a restaurant. A different one, not the Italian place. It looked intimate. Candlelight. Her head was tilted against his shoulder, a soft, adoring smile on her face. His arm was around her, and he was smiling, a genuine, relaxed smile, the kind he used to reserve just for me. And in the background, blurred but unmistakable, was a small, ornate cake with a single candle, and written in frosting, in elegant script, "Happy anniversary, Mark and Chloe." The world tilted. The air left my lungs in a whoosh. My vision swam. It was like someone had punched me hard right in the gut. Not just a punch, but a twist, a rip. The emerald dress suddenly felt heavy, suffocating. The jazz music playing softly in the background, which moments ago had been soothing, now sounded like a mocking, discordant symphony. I stood there, frozen, the phone heavy in my hand, the image burned into my retina. "Happy anniversary, Mark and Chloe." The words echoed in my head, a cruel, impossible joke. Our anniversary. Our 5th anniversary. And he was celebrating it with someone else. I don't know how long I stood there, staring at that picture, feeling the blood drain from my face. It could have been seconds, it could have been an eternity. My mind was a chaotic mess of disbelief, nausea, and a cold, creeping dread. Every small red flag, every dismissed intuition, every rationalized excuse, they all slammed into me at once, a tidal wave of sickening clarity. The late nights, the phone, the new cologne, the distance, it all made sense. Horrible, devastating sense. Mark walked out of the bathroom then, towel around his waist, humming a little tune. He saw me, saw the phone in my hand, saw the picture on the screen. The humming stopped. His eyes, which had been so carefree moments before, widened in a flash of pure panic. His face went from relaxed to ashen in an instant. "Sarah, what are you?" His voice trailed off, weak, pathetic. I couldn't speak. My throat was constricted, a tight, burning knot. I just held the phone out, the image still blazing on the screen between us, a silent, damning accusation. He looked at the phone, then at me. His shoulders slumped. The bravado, the excuses, they evaporated. He looked like a child caught with his hand in the cookie jar. Only this cookie jar held my entire world. "Sarah, I can explain." "Explain? Explain what?" "Explain how you could look me in the eye, tell me you loved me, plan our anniversary, while celebrating another anniversary with someone else." The absurdity of it was almost comical, if it wasn't so utterly soul-crushing. A low, guttural sound escaped my throat. It wasn't a word, just a raw expression of pain. Tears, hot and stinging, finally broke free, blurring the image on the screen, blurring Mark's face. My legs felt like jelly, and I sank onto the nearest chair, clutching the phone to my chest as if it were a bomb about to explode. "Explain what, Mark?" My voice was a whisper, hoarse and broken. "Explain happy anniversary, Mark and Chloe?" He tried to come closer, but I flinched away, recoiling as if he were diseased. "Please, Sarah, let me it's not what you think." But it was exactly what I thought. It was worse. It was a betrayal so profound, so calculated, that it ripped through the very fabric of our shared life. Every memory, every laugh, every tender moment suddenly felt tainted, a lie. Was it all a lie? Was he a lie? The next few hours were a blur of accusations, denials, and finally, a trickle of confession. He admitted to an emotional connection that had turned into something more. He said it started a few months ago, that he was confused, that he didn't mean to hurt me. Didn't mean to hurt me? The words were a fresh stab. He had actively, deliberately, chosen to deceive me, to build a parallel life, to celebrate an anniversary with another woman on the very day he was supposed to be celebrating with me. I remember yelling, my voice cracking, asking him how he could do this, how he could be so cruel. He just stood there, looking miserable, offering weak apologies that felt hollow and meaningless. I didn't want apologies. I wanted answers. I wanted to rewind time. I wanted my Mark back. The Mark who loved me, who was honest, who was mine. But that Mark, I realized, was an illusion. He was gone if he had ever truly existed. The night ended with me packing a small bag, my hands shaking so violently I could barely zip it. I couldn't stay in that apartment, not with him, not with the air thick with his lies. He tried to stop me, to plead, but I just pushed past him, my eyes fixed on the door. I called my best friend, Lisa, sobbing incoherently into the phone. She didn't ask questions. She just said, "I'm coming to get you." The days that followed were a dark, suffocating fog. I stayed at Lisa's, curled up on her couch, unable to eat, unable to sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that picture. Mark and Chloe, their happy anniversary. The pain was a physical ache, a constant pressure in my chest. I felt like a ghost, moving through the world, but not truly present. I replayed every conversation, every interaction, searching for clues I'd missed, for the moment it all went wrong. Was I not enough? Was I blind? Was I stupid? The self-doubt was as corrosive as the heartbreak. Lisa was incredible. She didn't try to fix it, didn't offer platitudes. She just sat with me, held my hand, let me cry, and brought me cups of tea. She listened as I recounted every detail, every agonizing realization. Slowly, painfully, the numbness began to recede, replaced by waves of anger, then profound sadness, then a strange, unsettling clarity. I started to see the red flags not as isolated incidents, but as a pattern. The defensiveness when I asked about his phone. The way he'd subtly deflect questions about his evenings. The almost imperceptible shift in his gaze when he said, "I love you," as if he was looking through me, not at me. It wasn't my fault I hadn't seen it. He was a master of deception, and I was a woman in love, willing to believe the best. One morning, about 2 weeks after that night, I woke up at Lisa's, and for the first time, the crushing weight in my chest felt a little lighter. I still hurt, deeply, but something had shifted. I looked at myself in the mirror, my eyes still a little puffy, but a flicker of defiance in them. I had given so much of myself to Mark, to us, and he had thrown it away. But that didn't mean I was thrown away. I realized that my worth wasn't tied to his fidelity or his love. My worth was inherent, within me. I was strong. I was resilient. I had built a beautiful life before him, and I could build an even better one now. It was painful, yes, an agonizing, gut-wrenching pain. But it was also a pain that was forcing me to confront truths, to shed illusions, and to rediscover myself. I went back to our apartment to get my things, with Lisa by my side. Mark was there, looking haggard, still trying to apologize, still trying to explain. But his words no longer had power over me. I looked at him, truly looked at him, and saw not the man I loved, but a stranger. A man who had broken my trust beyond repair. There was no going back. The future we had planned, the house with the big yard, the kids, the porch, it was gone. And it hurt like hell, but it was also a clean break. I told him it was over. Not with anger, not with tears, but with a quiet, resolute certainty that surprised even myself. It was the hardest thing I'd ever said, but also the most liberating. I walked out of that apartment, not as a victim, but as someone who had survived a devastating storm and was now ready to rebuild. The road ahead was long, I knew that. There would be more tears, more moments of doubt. But for the first time in a long time, I felt a flicker of hope. A hope for a future where I was truly seen, truly loved, and truly respected. A future built on honesty, not on lies. If you've ever been through something like this, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. And if this story hit you even a little bit, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on that bell.